Welcome back, landscaper, the diary of the landscaper. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to do a drip system that lasts for years. Okay. The first and most important thing, I will definitely recommend you to sketch something on a paper, tablet, computer, so you can lay out your tubing, and your plants and everything, right? Once you have that, it's very important that you also understand the soil. Some soil are more sandy or clayish or loam. So that's another key factor. And the third factor, the PSI or the pressure. Most houses are between 40 to 80 PSIs here in the San Jose, San Francisco Bay area. But you have to check the pressure and also install a pressure reducer. So drip works best from 20 to 30 psi of pounds per pressure per inch, let's say, of pressure for drip system. So once you have that, start building your valve, connectors, and all those things. I always encourage to do the valve as most accessible, but higher at the same time. If it's gonna be in the box, like in the square box, put it on an area where you don't, when it's not that visible for on walking pathways, right? Like if it's the main entrance of the house, you're not gonna put it right next to the main door, right? Try to put it somewhere closer to the street or to the curb or something that is not that visible for the customers or for the visitors. Okay, if it's a siphon, anti-siphon valve, the ones that are sticking out, same thing. Put it by the side or whatever. You can manage, and that's why it's very important to do the drawing, the design of where you're gonna install things. Because without a plan, you're gonna be ended up making mistakes, and then later on it's gonna cost you money if you want to correct it. Because now you have to redo the work that you already did. So make sure you understand everything on paper and put it back into that paper. Put it back into the place or the ground. So it's a vision that you're gonna have, and then put it on the reality. Because we're the creators, landscapers. We create beautiful scenarios for customers. Okay. So another thing is understand the type of drip tubing that you're gonna use. For the most part, most of the drips out there are designed to work properly. The only thing or the only reason they fail is because for lack of experience or we don't install it properly. Again, most of the drips are designed to last and work for years and years and years to come. But some of us, we get stuck with the old version of the drip, the started ones. They still sell it on the stores like Home Depot, any irrigation store. They still sell those old, I would say, vintage, unupdated version for say drips out there. They still sell it because again they're making money out of it and they're not gonna stop doing it. So it's our responsibility as a professional to research which one is best. So avoid using the 1/4-inch tubing as much as you can. Like I was saying, avoid using those ones because with the heat and the cold, the tubing expands and contracts, and wherever you do the connection to the bigger, the 1/2-inch or 3/4-inch pipe or poly tubing that you use, it's gonna start losing that little hole, and it's gonna start leaking. And plus, our water here in the Bay Area is very hard of minerals. So when we get those summer days, very hot, over 100 degrees or so, the water inside that tubing is going to start calcificating, so making like a plug or like a cholesterol, I would say, to the water line, and it's going to start failing within years or months. It all depends on how exposed to the sun the tubing is. And on top of that, most of gardeners out there that I've been seeing, they put pieces over 3 feet long In reality, you should not do that ever, because again, the pressure of the water going through that little tubing is gonna lose or drop dramatically. So the longer the little tubing is, the less water the plant is gonna get, and that's why again a lot of drip system fail, because we don't know, we don't research, we don't investigate, and we don't want to learn. So it's very important to invest in ourselves. So anyway, so that's another reason. And then on top of that, since there is many drippers that you have to put on the tip of the tubing, like 1 gallon per hour, 2 gallons per hour, or those little sprayers, or those. Or there's one that shows like a little bubbler, or I mean all those little stakes with a little head, the spread, or do like a little fingers like that. The streams of water like across. I mean all those things gonna affect your drip, because they have like a little, the cap, you can turn it to open it more or close it more so you can get more flow, right? So all those things are gonna make your drip as big the sun as is gonna make the pressure drop or change dramatically, because there's no pressure regulator. Any of that is involved on those little spikes. That's why I say you don't should do it. Same thing with the little drip or emitter that we call it, dripper, bleeder, whatever, or sometimes Spanish guys will call it chichitas. Whatever you know that dripper or emitter is called, or bleeder, it's gonna create you a problem, because some plants you're gonna put 3, some you're gonna put 2 or maybe 1, and that is gonna again change everything, because some plants some drippers or some areas gonna get way more water, some less. It's very important to design the drip very efficient. And then on top of that, sometimes you put up 3 and you put 4 or 5 meters, and then the tree is growing, so now it's going to need more meters. So with the proper design, you should tell your customer, hey, I'm going to charge you more, because in 2 years or a year from now, I'm going to come back and install more drippers so the tree can get now the proper amount of water, because the tree is growing. Same thing with the plants. So that's why it's very important to understand drip and make it function like so. So then the next step is figure out your area. So I will always encourage you to, again, not use that, and then always use 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch pipe, right? I really don't, I don't use 1/2 inch personally. I don't like it. I think it shouldn't be installed on irrigation systems, but again, it's your preference. But I don't use, the minimum is 3/4 inch and 1 inch, and goes up to whatever there. So same thing with the tubing. You shouldn't use less, smaller than 1/2 inch or 3/4. That's it. But again, the manifold or the main line, main water supply should be 3/4 inch, and then you can reduce it to 1/2 inch tubing. So one of the big failures too, a lot of people just run one from the bulb up to the starting point of the tubing or the hose, the poly pipe. They put one pipe from the bulb up to a stick with one pivot or one point of connection, and they run the tubing or the drip poly or whatever you're gonna call it all the way to the whole zone. So it's very important. So to start the hose at each end, so from end to end, so you run pipe here and PVC here 3/4, and then you're gonna have multiple outlets to plug the 1/2 inch tubing. Okay, that way it will give you equal flow and the most reliable coverage. Because again, if you just one PVC and you start running, snaking or whatever your tubing around the plants and all the meters you're gonna put, the pressure is gonna be lost dramatically. So by the time the end tubing, very little water is gonna get, and that's why again there's a big failure. So it's very important. Every 50 feet apart, you put a piece of PVC and connect it to the water, so to the water poly pipe, so everything is there is same flow of water, same pressure coming from every direction, and you will have a current better and more flow. But again, you should never. I don't use the drip, the ones that you plug the little dripper or emitter to the tubing, to the black tubing. I don't use that drip because again, I explained in the beginning of the video. I use inline drip, any brand. So like Rainbow, Nerafin, Toro, Hunter, Agrifilm. I mean, there's many brands they can use. They sell the model, and there is the different rate of gallons per minute or per hour, let's say, and spacing too is 12 inches and 18 inches. I believe they don't sell the 24 inches anymore, but they used to sell 24 inches emitters or drippers or bleeders, however you want to call it, distance. So it's very important to understand that and start to jump into this type of drip. I know it's more expensive, but again, it's good for you, good for your client, and you will gonna be ended up charging more. So learn to jump into the new trends so you can make more profit, and at the same time learn to charge. I mean, because I know if you were charging 800 per zone, now this one you're gonna end up be charging 1500 or more. Again, it all depends on how much tubing you're gonna have to use. So that's why very important to measure the area and do a drawing, like I said in the beginning, understand how much piping you're gonna use, how much PVC, everything, so you can present a good proposal or a good estimate to your client. Sometimes, most of us, we are in a rush. We don't want to take that time to measure and get all that information to ourselves to develop a good proposal, a good estimate. So once you have that, again, you have to make sure you run the lines parallel. The grip can go horizontal or vertical, whatever direction you want to take, or diagonal, whatever direction you're going to take. You have to make sure you follow the manufacturer aspect. So it's 12 inches spacing. So it means from this tubing to this tubing is going to be 12 inches, because that little dripper is designed to start bleeding water or drip water or fly water 6 inches circle. So 6 inches this way, 6 inches that way. So you will see when you turn on the valve, it start wearing, and the circle's growing. So eventually it's gonna reach to tubing to tubing, and that's in the spring roof heads we call it head-to-head coverage, right? And here is line to line or tubing to tubing, however you're gonna call it, but it's as strong, smooth, or equal coverage. And again, don't mix and match tubing. If you're using 0.7 12-inch spacings, make sure you buy the same tubing across your whole zone. You can change for a different zone because maybe there's trees or other plants, but the other zone can be different tubing, a different rate of water, like 0.9 instead of 0.6 or 0.7. So all those things, make sure you always check the water consumption of your plants. Very important to run of plants. Most of us, we just learn the name of the plant or not even the name of the plant. So we need to understand how much water do they need so we can deliver a beautiful landscape outdoor space for our clients. Once you again, there's a lot of information there, and many stores, they have this book or catalogs, or if you don't want to go to a store because you're afraid that they're gonna tell you that you're dumb or whatever, online, go to Hunter website, Rainbow. I will be posting links here too, so you can go there, and there is the academy or free webinars or free information there that you can use. Or the greatest of all, school or academy, YouTube. There's lots of videos, but make sure you follow those brands or those companies, Hunter, Rainbow, because there's many people out there putting videos. Like myself, I'm putting a video here, but I'm making sure this video has well documented and well informed so you can understand that and develop a good system. So I've been in the industry for 20 years, and I always learn, read, and bring knowledge to myself so I can be doing these videos. But again, make sure you research whoever is doing the video and he's right, because again, there is hundreds, thousands of videos on YouTube. So I recommend you to follow Hunter or Rainbow or any brand, Toro, any brand design or sell irrigation products. They will tell you how, or Nerafin, for saying another one. So they can tell you how and the proper way to do it. But the book will tell you, hey, this amount, the precipitation rate, which is the amount of water is going to be. And the precipitation rate is like the rain, right? When rains, they call that precipitation. So their drip system is mimic rain. Same thing, the sprinklers, they mimic rain. So it's very important to understand that precipitation rate so you can deliver a great or a beautiful irrigation system with no headaches to your customer and no wasting water at all. But again, most of us, we don't want to research and take the time to learn. The more you grow, the better for you and for your clients and for your pocket as well, because you're going to be ended up earning more money, more income to your company, more income to you. So once you have that, you're going to start laying the pipe. And it's very important to understand the grip. Again, you have to make sure whatever direction you choose, make that a must, a rule, put it like a law. Make sure your guys understand that. And same thing, the little U-shaped clamps, staples, or whatever you call it. Make sure your spaces between 2 feet or 3 feet apart, no longer than that, even shorter. Again, it all depends on how deep you're gonna bury that tubing. Because most of the people just running on top of the dirt. If you don't put enough or close enough staples, the heat again is gonna create like a berm, or it's gonna span the tubing, and it's gonna look like a dragonfly or like a snake, or whatever you're gonna call it. So make sure you bury it at least an inch or two the tubing, and that's why it's very important to understand pricing. Pricing is the most important thing. If you don't know how to charge, start in your house, do a zone in your house. Make sure, take your time, put a timer, whatever, and start doing a small zone and figure it out how long it takes you to do a 10 by 10 area or 5 by 5. And then if the area that you're going to develop is greater that, let's say if it's 20 by 20, so you're gonna multiply your 5 by 5 times 4, so you will get how many hours you're gonna get there. And that's how you do it. That's how you start doing it. Because again, if you don't take note of these things, you're gonna be ended up losing money. So once you follow those grips, those lines, very important to understand the spacing. I know a lot of people wants to put the little dripper or the hole close to the plant. No, the reason why it's 12 inches apart is the water, to keep the moisture on the ground so the plant can reach to the water, not the water reach to the plant. So I'm gonna put an example. It's like you having a child and leave the child on the crib or in the bed and just give him food, bringing food, everything to that child on the crib or in the bed, and not letting him move. You're gonna end up having him with health issues, and then it's gonna become lazy. Same thing the plants. Plants are like humans. They don't talk, but they do behave like us. So there you go. You need to let the plant reach the water, not the water reach the plant. Okay. And another very important thing, if it's a slope area, it all depends on the slope. So you have to be able to calculate that, or at least visualize it. So the greater the slope, the farther apart you're gonna put the tubing from the bottom up. So meaning, if the bottom, you're gonna put the first row of tubing at least 24 inches away from the edge of the of the landscape area. Let's say there's hardscape here, so 12 inches, 24 inches above. Then you put your 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 first line, and then another 24 inches, and then you 18 inches, and then until you get to 12 inches apart as you go up. Why? Because the gravity is going to act on that. All the water is going to start coming down downhill. That's why the bottom part is going to be so far apart, so you don't have overruns or runoff on the hardscape. So there is many things to consider, my friend. So if it's flat area, perfect. You can do same spacings, everything is fine. But the more incline or deep depreciation they have decline, the spacing it has to adapt based on the terrain. And again, and that's why most of the drip installation fail, because we don't think on that. We know about that. We know water runs downhill, no uphill. But again, we keep doing things because they say, "Oh, it's gravity." Yeah, but there's ways to walk around with that without any issues of and things like that. So make sure you follow those procedures or those topics or those advices that I'm giving you. Once you have that, there is some, again, and same thing, make sure when you're laying the tubing, make sure you do a nice grip, like you use these 90s. They sell 90s. A lot of people don't want to buy in the 90s because they say, "Oh, I can bend the tubing." Yeah, but if that tubing cringe or go like this, let's say this part is gonna have like a plug, like a like a rubber band when they put you there, so your brain, your vessels, your blood vessels popped out. Same thing there. The tubing is gonna have force there, pressure to go through that thing. So again, you're gonna disrupt the whole system. So it's make sure you use 90s. You know it's gonna cost you more, but again, it's all about knowing your pricing and everything, and that will function very good. So again, if the area is 5x5, you have to put a PVC pipe here and PVC pipe here and connect just the line from PVC to PVC. Because if you use just one piece of PVC and then you put the male adapter here with the chupon, we call it, or with the compression coupling there, and then you start running the tubing like snaking like that. Again, the end part or half of the zone is gonna get eventually less water because the water is traveling all that without any pressure. Even though the drip system, the inline drip system, is already pressure regulated and equal water distribution, since it's a long run of water, still is gonna lose pressure. So make sure you understand that. And then there is some air release valves. Most of the drippers they release the air with the drippers, right? There's another way. They don't really need the air release valve, but if you don't put it, they're gonna whistle for probably 5 or less minutes, right? Or maybe less. It all depends how big is the area. So they're gonna start whistling on when you first run the valve. After that, they will start, and you're just gonna get a squeaky water noise that they're gonna be dripping, and then eventually you won't hear anything. So that's the beauty of the air release. Not that they really need it. It's just you minimize noise, and a lot of people will hear that whistle and they're gonna think, "Oh, there's a water leak," and that's why those things. And flash valves too. That is very important to put flash valve, because if there is a breaker or something, you can flush the system through there. Again, most people don't want to do it because, again, they want to cut corners or whatever. So make sure you put those flash valves there, and the flash valve in a little round box. Be more professional, and that more professional and more aesthetic beauty look. If you keep doing that, it will definitely help you get more customers, because people's gonna notice your work. And again, that will generate more work and more word to word mouth is the best advertising method. I'd say word of mouth. Okay, so then once you develop that, make sure you test the system before you bury it. If you're burying the tubing, most people take that little step for granted, like we don't test it, but make sure you test it because there might be a little pinch on the tubing or hole or something. I mean, there is something you might not need it. Maybe your guy throw the tubing into the truck and there was a sharp thing and you just poke a little hole, or when you were using your knife, most of us use a knife to cut those types or cinchillos that we call it, whatever tights or the grappling of the tubing, we use a knife to do it, and we might poke the tubing without knowing. So make sure you test your thing, and then follow the final inspection. And it's always better to open all those flash valves to let the first run, the first time you open it, run the whatever flash, whatever is there, glue residue when you glue the pipe, or if you use a saw to cut the pipes, those little crumbs of PVC, everything will drain out of that. So make sure you do that. And a little dirt, whatever it gets there, you flush it out. That's the reason to first do that before you bury the whole system. Once you do that, shut off the flush valves and let it run for a little bit, see the coverage, then you can bury it on. And another thing that I like to use is a drip indicator, right? The little sprinkler, they have like a little tube, piece of quarter-inch tubing, is like a foot or so that you can put there, and it's just gonna pop up with a red nozzle or yellow nozzle, depends on the brand. And that's just to indicate, because once it's buried, people might not see anything. So that will indicate it will be sticking out there in a visible area, of course, because otherwise it will be pointless to put one of those things. So that will indicate it's running. So in case the valve gets stuck, people will notice, oh, this thing has been there for hours, so that means it's stuck. So that's a good tip to do. Put the indicator. They sell that in any hardware store, not hardware store, I would say any irrigation store like Horizon, again, Ewing, Side1, Water Savers. Those stores are local here, but Horizon and Ewing, they're nationwide. So, but Water Savers is a local one here. To name a few, again. And there is, again, those stores, they can get you connected to one of the reps from each vendor of each brand, and they will be more than happy to do a meeting with you or a training, a hands-on training, so you can learn. Because the more you learn, the more you're gonna grow, the more material, more stuff you're gonna buy to them. So again, we need to start looking for that help and get our ego on the side and ask for help. Most of us, we don't want to ask for help because we feel that it's pointless or it's inadequate, or we feel like a loser. No, you will never be a loser. You will be a victorious person if you ask and develop that culture. And those vendors are going to start giving your name away too, because they know you're taking the time to learn and be professional. So they're going to pass your name to potential clients. So again, if you grow, they grow, and we all grow together. We think we're just gonna grow, but we need each other. So like the song the YMCA says, no man can do it by their own. So we need networking, and that's networking, not just attending those meetings and shaking hands there. They can help you too, but again, most of the people who was at the meeting, they're looking for the same thing you're looking, sell their products. So the networking here, by doing it right, it will get you jobs. The networking, all those other scenarios, they will get you sellers, not potential customers. So that's another story for another episode. Okay. So again, once you start following those procedures, you put your drip system and you will see how good, healthier, and beautiful landscape you're gonna develop once everything is nice and laid with grids and clean lines and all that, and the water distribute evenly. You will see the difference and you will see how happy and fast grow the plants is. So all you need is well watering, sun, and dirt to have a beautiful garden. You will surprise that no fertilizer needed once you get those three things on the ground right, like watering, sun, because all plants need sun, some more, some less, but the sun is a beautiful source of fertilizer or vitamin, whatever you want to call it, for the plants. So make sure you understand that part too. And the sunnier the area, the more water it's gonna take. So guess what? The drip can only deliver is 0.7 gallon per minute or per hour. So the only thing you're gonna do is do multiple runs. So this part of the installation. So when you go to a controller and the area is sunnier, most of us think, oh, I'm gonna run it for 2 hours. No, don't do it. Don't do that. You're gonna end up wasting water because soil absorbs only 20% of moisture. The rest is just gonna drain, run off, or whatever. So instead of putting 2 hours, breaking in four start times, 20, 30 minutes each, right? At least 1 hour apart of each other. So if you're gonna do 30 minutes on the 8 in the morning, then 30 minutes at 9, and so on. Or keep 2 hours the window, so that way you have a greater coverage and the most efficient way to water drip. Most of the controllers out there now they start advertising as smart, right? And I told my customers, and I told you, so you can learn. They smart, but the fact that that I've been advertised smart, they don't know how to use that smart. It's like us. If we don't put enough information here, we're not smart. We think we are, but we're not in reality. So same thing with the phone and the controllers. You have to put as much information and as much tools as needed so that controller can work smart. So some controllers require rain sensor, moisture sensor, and so many more features or attachments to deliver what it takes. Some of them they just connect online to the weather channel, and they just gonna be adjusting based on the weather. So if it shows rain today, guess what? It's gonna stop the watering. So again, but it didn't rain, but it showed that. So again, that's why they're not that smart. So you will have to have a rain sensor, so the controller will get the information from the rain sensor live, like a drop hits the sensor, it says the signal to the controller. Because if you just rely on the weather channel, sometimes it's wrong. And same thing for wind sensor and moisture sensor. If the soil is so wet, the moisture sensor is gonna say, hey, skip the water for 1 or 2 cycles because we have enough. So all those things can be attached, and again, it's gonna make your system more expensive, but at the end of the day, everything will run so smart, so smooth, and so beautiful that it's worth to pay for it. So as a professional, we need to educate the customers, inform them that, telling them these features. Because if they just go to the Home Depot and get the ratio, because the ratio is one of the controls that they're selling the most, and it's been advertising that, oh, we can adjust it. Yeah, but I've been seeing people is having issues. The plants are drying, the grass are dying, because again, the controller just work with the weather channel. If the weather channel says, hey, tomorrow is gonna be windy, it's gonna reduce. If you got spray heads, it's gonna say, oh, maybe I shouldn't run the sprinklers because the wind is gonna take the water. So the controller is gonna shut it off. But it was 100 degrees high of heat with wind. So it's not gonna feel as heat, but still it's gonna be a lot of heat. So you have to make sure you put all those sensors, and you have to educate your controller or train your controller to be smart. They come smart, but not from the box. You have to put all the information there. Make sure you follow those things, and you will have a drip system that lasts for years, for decades, and a plant that will be happy for a lifetime. Okay? So if you like this episode and you want to learn more from this, make sure you hit the comment and put second episode, or DM us with any idea, any topic that you want us to discuss in our podcast, The Diary of the Landscaper, the podcast designed to bring knowledge and spread that to every landscaper out there, starting all new, whoever is out there. This information is very helpful. So make sure you share, give us some love. You can rate us on Spotify or YouTube. That's the only two places right now that we are live. And well, not live, we're putting an episode every week. Episode like this is going live every week on Thursday. So make sure you follow and share, so you can keep getting this information. And again, if you want to have a topic, a discussion, or if you like to join and share your knowledge, your experience here, I'm more than welcome to have you here for an interview on how you're doing business and how you're doing things, and spread that knowledge to everyone. Again, because the more we grow, the more we be successful all across the nation or across the industry. Again, follow for more: Spotify, YouTube, The Diary of the Landscaper, and most of the social networks are there: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We're all there. Thank you, and thanks for watching.